What's up, guys? Welcome to our channel, Honey Hole Angling. Today we're doing our first fly tying video. We're going to be tying a Craft Fur Baitfish, which is a really easy fly to tie. It's great for beginners or newbies in fly tying, but it's really effective. You can bass fish with it. You can go to the coast with it. Pretty much anything that eats other fish, you can tie this fly for. And the materials come in a wide range of colors, so you can really kind of specifically tailor it to your fishery. We're going to link all of the materials in the description below, so if you need help finding anything, it's down there. Also, while you're here, like this video, subscribe to our channel, and leave a comment down below. Let us know how we did, how we can improve. And next, we're going to show you the tools and materials you need to tie the Craft Fur Baitfish. So these are the materials we're going to use for the fly today. We have a Craft Fur brush right here, a minnow head brush right here. I like to use the Gamakatsu SC15 saltwater hooks, and I use those for bass too, but I just tie them on a stainless hook just in case I want to take them down to the coast so I can get more use out of them. We have, these are 6mm eyes, but for this fly you could use 5 or 6 depending on what fly size you're tying. On the video we're actually going to tie in a size 1. We have our super glue, bobbin. I'm using UTC 140 thread and black. The aught equivalent of that would be like 6/0, so if you use Vivus or another thread that's in that system, 6/0 is the size you're going to want to use. You could also go heavier if you wanted to. We have our scissors, whip finisher, flea comb. If you don't have a flea comb, you could also use a bodkin, which is pretty much just a needle in this video, and the wire cutters, which is really important for cutting the brushes. You don't want to dull your nice scissors on those. I also have a couple of different variations of this fly. The one we tie today is purple and black, but this one was a different color, and I also use a sparkle brush on the back instead of a Craft Fur. So you guys at home, if you don't have this stuff, you can make do with what you have at home and it still turn out well. This is one of my favorite colors here. It's a white head, chartreuse body, white tail, and that one does really well on the bass for me. Alright guys, so the first thing you want to do is lay a thread base, starting from the eye of the hook, going all the way to the point, just like I have here. And I like to cover the hook pretty well just because when I super glue the eyes on, I like to have a little bit of thread there. It helps make the eyes hold. The second thing you're going to do is you're going to take the Craft Fur brush, fold it back a little bit, and you're going to tie that wire in pretty well. You can tie it all the way forward. You're going to go about 2/3 forward. So when we get to about there, we're going to take our wire cutters and cut that wire off. What I like to do now is put the Craft Fur brush in a set of hackle pliers. Just grab that wire. It just makes it a little bit easier to hold while I do this. And you can start with it up. You guys are going to pull the material back as you do a wrap, and it should be good for 1 full rotation. So every time you do a rotation, you're going to fold the materials back, do a rotation, fold the materials back, do a rotation, fold the materials back, do a rotation, fold the materials back, do a rotation. And we're going to keep doing this till we get all the way up to our thread. Fold the materials back, and it's going to look like this stuff is tangled. Watch out for your bobbin. It's going to look like this stuff is tangled, but really I'll show you how to untangle it in just a second. So we're going to capture that 2 good times. You can take your wire cutters, cut that wire, and now we have this mess right here. So what we're going to do now is you can take your bodkin and you can start pulling this fiber out. One way that I found that's quicker is if you actually have a flea comb, then you can really get in there and it makes it a lot easier to pull the fibers out. Get in there with that flea comb, just like that. Pull those fibers out. And then as you can see, and we fold this back, it's starting to come into shape. Just comb it out really good. And you can see that these craft fur brushes make that nice round shape. What I like to do is take the ends, if there's any that are super long, go ahead and trim those off. Actually just pull them. And then that's what we're looking for right there. So now we're going to take our minnow head brush and we're going to tie it in the exact same way we tied the craft fur brush in. Going forward. And take that wire. We're going to tie it right up against that craft fur brush. Tie that wire down. Take that all the way forward, capture all that wire, makes it really snug. Trim that wire, trying to save time. All right. We have that. Looks kind of messy. So what we're going to do now is we're going to whip finish. Two whip finishes. You can trim your thread. All right. This is what we're sitting with right now. If you trim it now, then when you glue the eyes on, there's not as much material for that glue to hold. And it kind of changes the shape anyway because it presses it in. That super glue is going to press it in and push those fibers to the top and to the bottom. And so I like to super glue first, get that new shape, and then trim. I used to trim first, and then I'd glue the eyes on and have to go back and trim again. So this way the eyes hold better, and then that kind of final shape that you're going to push that hair kind of up and down is, you don't have to trim twice pretty much. Plus your eyes hold better. So I'm going to grab my eyes. When I tie the dark flies, I like to use light colored eyes. And then whenever I tie light flies, I like to use dark flies. And it just kind of gives a pinpoint for the fish. And I am going to take my super glue, which is make sure you get a gel variation. This is Gorilla Gel Super Glue. You're going to take your super glue, your gel, and you're just going to lay a little dab. You can kind of turn your vise to the side and lay a little dab kind of right on the edge. I think you guys can see that. You're going to take your eye, and I like to just take my eye and just set it on top of that super glue, just like that. And then I'll take an old bodkin, the butt end, and I'll press it in and push it back if you want to change where it's at. And then what I'd like to do is push and just hold and let that dry for a minute. Once you hold it first, that's solid. That's not going anywhere. Okay, so now do the same thing on the other side. So if you have a rotary vise, you can flip it over. You're going to take another dab of super glue. right there. Just a little bit. If not, it just starts to run out everywhere. We're going to take another eye. We're going to set our eye. And this is the way I found where I don't get super glue all over my fingers, because you really start messing with this with your fingers and you're just going to start finding your fingers are stuck together, or you go to pull your fingers off the eyes, you think you're clean and it's stuck and you pull the eye off and then your eye's got a fingerprint mark on it. So the bodkin is the trick. And then whenever you take the bodkin off, I'll show you in just a second, because sometimes you can tell on this bodkin that it's got super glue on it. And so I've glued some eyes to it. But if you twist it off, then you don't pull the eye off with it. Sometimes I've pulled the eyes off with the bodkin. Boom. Both those eyes are on there solid. Perfect. All right. So, not quite to the shape that we want. So we're going to take our scissors. I actually like to take it out by hand, but for the video I'm going to leave it in the vise because I can kind of get that round shape I want easier. But you can come in and start trimming any. You can always take more off, but you can't add more on. So I'm going to start just trimming. Ooh, that was a big cut, but that's okay. I'm going to come in here and just start trimming. This is where a rotary vise is nice. You can rotate it back and forth. Sharp scissors help too. Start trimming until you get, ooh, I'm starting to like that shape. A little bit more there. Boom, I like it. She's done and ready to fish.